This is one of those days you wake up as an entrepreneur and it seems like the world is caving in. A lot of what happened that's got me stressed right now is a little bit outside my control. So this morning I am really trying as hard as I can to find positive and really one of the things they never talk about when they're preaching be an entrepreneur and follow your passion and live your dreams and all this stuff is the price that you pay. And it's not, I think net, it's not really a negative. It's not really a price you pay. It's just part of what being an entrepreneur is. But I don't think we talk enough about how difficult it can be on mornings like today. And it seems like everything is caving in. And I've spent the last 2 hours trying to quiet my mind and calm myself down and figure out a way to navigate through today. I think part of it comes from my own inability to put what's happening into perspective. So last night, so this is what happened essentially. So I've had a lot of growth for the freelancing stuff that I'm doing, the business consulting, over the last couple of weeks, over the last month really, and it's been amazing, and it's really helped to bolster my spirits and give me a positive outlook on things. But this last night, about 12:30 in the morning, I was checking on something because I needed to stay up because I had a deposit that was supposed to get put into the business account because I have some payments for some late fees because of what happened with the client that didn't pay. Anyway, if you haven't listened to the podcast, it explains all of the backstory of why I'm in financial issues. I think it was mostly disappointing because there's an expectation that things had started to turn around. And it's not that things haven't turned around because, again, I'm in a much better position than a lot of people are in that there is money that is coming. Like, I do own, that is my money. But at the same time, it's been very difficult this morning for me to put it into correct perspective and calm my brain down. I've just been very tense in a way that I'm normally not. And the more and more that I realize what it actually takes to run a business and to the work and the time that it takes, it's not a joke at all when I say I got to prepare myself to put in 10, 12, 15-hour days because that's literally what it takes. You train when you're fighting. You train so that when you're in the fight, you naturally act the way that you should. So you can't really think, you can't really expect until you're at the very, very highest levels, but especially when you're getting started, you can't really expect to just show up to the fight and do well. Because your body and your mind are not conditioned to react to your opponent the way that they should. Right? If you just if I was to go fight right now, I'm almost 8 months out of really hard training, and I spar every weekend, and I'm not out of the game completely, but my reaction would be slow, and I wouldn't be in top shape, and there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't be able to do very well, and it's because I'm not training myself to do that. And the important thing, and the way this ties into with Anti-Fragile, is my ability to react and to become stronger under stress is directly proportional, for me personally, at least where I'm at right now, it's directly proportional to my ability to what I'm training myself to do. So the last 3 weeks, I have been sort of celebrating the fact that I've sold some stuff, I've made some money, which is fine, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it seems to me that maybe what I should have been doing was preparing for today, right? I think maybe what I said at the beginning about there isn't really a way that I could have foreseen or known to go and research that there was an issue with the bank putting somebody else's name on it. I think what I should have done is exhausted the time that I spent, and I've done a much better job the last couple of weeks of not watching too much TV or really engaging too much on social media and wasting time that way. But I have spent I don't know, 2-3 hours over the last week doing that kind of stuff. And I feel like if I had been, this is a very interesting little realization, because I wasn't thinking about this before, but I think maybe if I had spent the time that I spent on those things figuring out what I really needed to be doing, and realizing that that a day like today was going to come. Like, this shouldn't be a surprise to me. I think maybe the reason why it hit me so hard is because I sort of thought that the tide was turning in the other direction. But maybe the lesson is that the tide doesn't turn in any direction. The tide just goes where the tide goes, and you have to be prepared for whichever way the tide wants to go. And I think that if I had spent, like, instead of just being excited and accepting what the systems were saying, if I had gone a couple of extra miles, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 extra miles, and really researching and figuring out exactly when everything was going to be deposited, if the account numbers were right. Like, it actually, because the count hold, the freeze happened last week, and in fact today this is what's going to happen. After I finish this, I'm going to go and look up Stripe, and I'm going to try and transition so that I'm not trying to transfer into the business account, just transfer into my personal account, because I did actually already try and reinitiate the transfers, and it was supposed to get deposited this morning, but then I got the notification last night that they couldn't do it. So there might be an issue with Aslo, with my business account, where the hold is still on, or it's still frozen, or it still looks like it's frozen, and so I might get to Wednesday and be in the same situation, right? So I might strike 3 and you're out kind of situation. So I got to go check that out. But I think maybe that's an important lesson. That's definitely an important lesson for me, is to not. I have a tendency to count my eggs before they hatch, and even when on the tail end of me talking about, like, there's layers to it, I think. So, like, in general, counting my eggs before they hatch, in the sense of, I'm in this financial situation I'm in right now because I counted a particular client's revenue as something that was going to be put towards the next month, which means I spent too much money the month before in anticipation of getting that money to cover it. So that's the first layer, just like general counting my eggs before they hatch. But then continuing to do so, where, like, now I'm in a position where I've counted on the money when I didn't really do the research to make sure that the money was going to get deposited. And maybe you have to, I think this happens a lot with me, I have to be confronted with real problems before I'll do the real research. And maybe what I need to do is spend a little bit more time, figuring some of those things out. Because if I really wanted it to get deposited on time, like really did, I would probably spend more time on that. So anyway, it's kind of a balance, because those are things that I wouldn't naturally go and do. But I think maybe part of me learning and growing is realizing that even though there are things that I'm not good at that I wish that I could offload, I'm not in a position where I can offload anything right now. And so at some point in the next 2 months, there will be somebody in position to handle all these issues and make sure that I have money in my personal account every month, twice a month at this, in these areas. But, like, because I have made decisions that have put me in a position where I can't bring somebody in and pay them to take this part of what I'm doing off my plate, I have to do it myself, which means if I have to stay up later, if I have to not do the fun stuff, like, I'm really enjoying putting together this content for November, but if I have to put that off to make sure that money is coming in, like, some of that stuff I got to go do, because, I have quite a bit that I need to have put together before the 1st of November. So, anyway, I think today went a little bit long. Oh, not too bad. 20 minutes, that's about right. I will be honest with you, I legitimately thought I was going to be crying this morning. Like, I earlier when I was making this coffee, I was, like, shaking. I was on the verge of tears. I wasn't even saying anything. I was, like, so upset and flustered. I think talking it out is helps. But I think, not to get too preachy, but I think if you're in the position that I'm in, where you run a business or you're freelancing, these are the days you got to prepare for. When I talk about training and preparing for when things go wrong, these are the days that you're preparing for. These are the days that I need to be preparing for better, and that's like lesson number one. And it all comes together perfectly. Timing is perfect, because literally last night I was going through my own content, stuff that I was saying, I had said on a podcast. You have to prepare for the crisis mode, because when that first bell rings, when you wake up and the money's not in the account, it's got to be natural, because you're like, this morning, there's no way that I could have come up with any type of creative solution to any of this problem. But in the couple of minutes that I've been sort of talking it out, and I've allowed my brain to kind of calm. I feel much better right now. Allowed my brain to sort of calm down. Realized there's a couple of things that I need to do immediately to make sure that this isn't going to be an ongoing issue and a bigger problem. So take from that what you will, but I think the biggest thing is you have to prepare for days like this, because this is going to happen, and it's going to happen way more often than I think I ever expected to, because I've had these days a lot, and you can't just sort of push them off and take the day off when you feel like this, because then you don't grow.